Hey everybody, glad to have you. Hey, appreciate you being here this morning. If you're first time here, we want to welcome you to 5-Minute Leader Scope, where we talk about you being able to build yourself as a leader. And we know that if you're not leading yourself, you're backing up. So we're going to be talking about that today. Hey Martin, appreciate you being here, man. Glad to have you today. Appreciate you being aboard. Mr. Corbett, glad to have you here. Jamalia, is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. MCG. Appreciate you being here. Hey, if you're just joining, Jamelia. Okay, great. Gotcha. Appreciate that. Hey, if you're just joining us this morning, you've never been on Scope before, if you're on an Android, swipe up and you can follow people and invite people. And if you're on an iPhone or iPad, you can swipe left or right and follow people and invite people. And if you ever get bored, just tap on the screen and give everybody a few hearts here, okay? Appreciate you doing that this morning. My name's Dean Renfro with 5-Minute LeaderScopes. I help people build their business and I help them build their lives. And today for the last week, we've been talking about attitude. We talked about where attitude came from. Where does attitude come from? It comes from your personality, your experience, your environment, from what you believe. We talked about how that all develops. We talked about some things your attitude can't do for you. Your attitude is not a substitute for competence. Your attitude is not a substitute for experience. Your attitude cannot change the facts. I don't care how good it is. Those are some things we've talked about. Then we talk about what your attitude can do for you, okay? What your attitude can do for you and the fact that it is a difference maker for you. Now, attitude is not everything, okay? People say, oh, attitude is everything. It is not everything. Good morning. Appreciate you being here. Attitude's not everything. Now you have to realize that attitude is great. It's a great thing to have, and given equal, good morning, Carmela. Given equal, attitude should win, okay? But not always is everything equal, and attitude is not everything. But we've been talking about what it is. Well, today we're going to talk about some obstacles to your attitude, okay? Some obstacles to your attitude. There's five obstacles. I'm going to talk about one of them and a piece of one of them this morning that oftentimes get in their way. I call them the big five. They get in our way. We all experience them. We all run into them, okay? We all have them. You can't, if you wake up on the sunny side of the bed every morning all the time, you may not be where you think you are in life. You may be somewhere else, okay? But reality is we all have days, we all have moments, we all have places in our life where the attitudes have to be adjusted. We talked about that yesterday, and the fact that part of who you are is that you daily manage your attitude. That you daily manage. It's not on autopilot. It's not on autopilot. So today let's take a quick look and let's talk about probably one of the biggest obstacles in everybody's attitude, because we all have them, and it's this word right here. It's this word right here. It's called discouragement. Okay, it's called discouragement. Okay. And discouragement is a lot in our attitude is a lot like the Trojan horse. It just kind of slips in unknown. It just kind of we invite it in and we don't even know we've invited it in. And we'll talk about how that happens. But discouragement oftentimes defeats our attitude because it conquers from within inside of us. Okay, we get down. Some people call it getting down. We get discouraged. Things aren't what we thought they are, what they should be. Okay. Because a lot of people don't realize life's tough, life's hard, okay? And there's people, oh, don't think like that, don't think like that. Look, folks, be a realist. There are days when everything goes south. There's everything. There are days when you wake up and we'll talk about that. You wake up, you jump out of bed and your feet miss the floor. Do you know there's going to be a bad day when that happens? You know it's going to be a bad day when you turn on the TV and everything on TV says, please evacuate, please evacuate. Now, where I live, you pay attention to those, okay? Because I live in Houston, and that means there's a hurricane coming in, and you get out of Dodge, okay? But you know it's going to be a bad day when those kinds of things start happening. And you can look at that and you can say, oh, it's not real. That's. Hey, there's been folks that have tried that. Some of you remember Hurricane Katrina. Nobody wanted to pay attention. It didn't turn out good for people, okay? You cannot ignore reality. So there's going to be times when things are hard, things are bad. They're not. You just can't look at everything with rose-colored glasses and look at things. But there are people who think that. There are people who look at things and say life should be easy. I should never have, yeah, you have to be realistic. I should never have any problems. And when I do, somebody else should take care of them for me, right? I mean, there's people who believe that. You know, somebody else should take care of them for me. And that's kind of what they look at. So we're going to talk about discouragement, okay? So there's two kind of people in discouragement, okay? Two kind of people. There's splatterers, okay, and there's bouncers. There's splatterers and there's bouncers. Splatters are everything goes splat and crap goes everywhere. Excuse my words. It just goes everywhere. There's people who just fall apart when life falls apart. And then there's bouncers, okay? And the bouncers are the people whose attitude makes a difference. They get back up, okay? They get back up. They you know, everything doesn't run everywhere. They get up and life goes on, okay? So you decide how that works for you. So how are we going to meet? Let's talk about how do we meet discouragement head on. Okay, let's talk about that. I'm going to give you 5, and I'm going to talk about 1, and we'll talk about the rest of them every day after this. Okay, here's the 5. Okay, get the right perspective. You see, to overcome, to meet discouragement head on, you have to get the right perspective, because sometimes your perspective is clouded. You're seeing it through a rose-colored glass. Okay, you have to see the right people. Okay, getting around the right people can change your attitude, can help you overcome discouragement. You have to say the right words. There are things you can start telling yourself. Self-talk is a big thing when you're facing discouragement, because if you're saying life is bad, life is bad, life is bad, life is bad, all this life is bad, and it just everything I do is bad, and it all turns out it'll all really will be bad. It will all go, you know, to hell in a handbasket when that happens. So there are some words that you can start telling yourself when you're discouraged. So we're going to meet discouragement head on by getting the right perspective, seeing the right people, saying the right words, having the right expectation. Having the right expectation. Oftentimes discouragement is self-made. Our discouragement is self-made. Remember I talked about the Trojan horse? It comes from within. It conquers us from within. We set ourselves up for discouragement. Okay, we set ourselves up for discouragement because we don't create the right expectation. And I've talked about that before when I talked about there's some things that attitude can't do for you. It can't change the facts. If you're 5'8", you're not going to play center on an NBA basketball team, because everybody else at that level is 7 foot or bigger. You're just not going to get to do that. And you can create all expectations, no matter how good you are, and no matter what kind of mental picture you create for yourself, and no matter how tall you see yourself, you're still 5'8". But if you're not careful, it will bring discouragement in your life because you created the wrong expectation. And then number 5 of things and how you can meet discouragement head on is you can learn how to make the right decisions. You learn how to make the right decisions. So we're going to talk about that. So let's work on that. Okay. So let's talk about how do you get the right perspective. How do you get the right perspective? Well, you do that, folks. You do that by, first of all, learning to take a good look at the whole picture. What's the whole outlay? What's everything you can see? Let's take a good look. Here it is. Let's take a good look at the whole picture. A good look at the whole picture. So let's look at that this morning. Let's talk about the whole picture. I read a story about a grandpa who walked up to a Little League baseball game, and he looked out on the field, and he walked over to the dugout there, and he asked the young man sitting on the bench, he said, "Well, what's the score?" And the young man on the bench said, 18-0. 18-0. He said, "Yeah, you're not discouraged?" He said, "Oh, no, we hadn't got to come up to bat yet." See, it's all a matter of perspective, and how you look at things is how you go about taking a look at the big picture. What you and I have to understand is life is long for most people. Now, and people say life is short. Well, yeah, in comparison to some things, life is short. But life also is long. In other words, there's going to be time in life for us to learn some things that we didn't know that will help us overcome some things. There's going to be some time in life for us to achieve some things that maybe we hadn't achieved yet. There's going to be time in life for us to learn how to serve other people and help them. There's going to be times in life to overcome and grow past some things, okay? There's going to be some times in life for us to make amends where we've made mistakes. You see, you and I have to take a look at the whole picture. The whole picture. And oftentimes we just have a little bitty piece of the puzzle. We have a little bitty piece of the puzzle. And so you have to look at a bigger picture, a whole picture, more than anything else. So that begins to help you understand how we're going to overcome this. And then the next one is, what should you do? Is you should take a short look at the problem. Okay, a short look at the problem. Now, a lot of people get stuck looking at the problem. You know, they just get this stare focus going on, and they just look at the problem and they look at it and turn it around. They look at it this way and turn around, turn around, get underneath it, and they look, and they just keep looking at the problem. Well, guess what that does in your mind? It creates an imprint of the problem in your mind, and you can't see anything else but the problem. It's this phenomenon. See, if that's always right there, you can't see anything else but that. And guess what you expect to start being in life? That everything is going to be one of these. Everything is going to be a hand in your face. And so we get stuck on seeing the problem. Well, I want to help you. What you need to do is only take a short look at the problem and go, okay, that's the problem. And quit looking at the problem and start looking for solutions. Okay? See, if you're going to move out of away from this barrier of discouragement in your life and get the right attitude about something, you look and say, yep, that's a problem. And you start looking for solutions. You start looking for solutions. You just don't keep walking around and talking about the problem. And because some people love to, what I call, wallow in their misery. And they want everybody else to wallow with them. If they feel bad, they want everybody else to feel bad. If they hurt, they want everybody else to hurt. You know, if they got a bad attitude, they want everybody else to have a bad attitude. That's because the people look for this herd mentality. You know, it's like, you got to go with me in this journey. Quit looking at the problem. Start looking for solutions. So take a short look at the problem, not a long look, a short look. If there's a problem, there's a problem. Okay, acknowledge there's a problem, but don't just keep walking around looking and talking and thinking on the problem all the time. Look for solutions. Look for solutions, because you're not going to find them. You're not going to find solutions looking at the problem. You know how you found solutions? When you look for solutions. Okay, not looking at the problem. All right, then the next thing you want to do is you want to take a close look at you. Can't even read my own writing this morning. You want to take a close look at you. Okay. Now, everybody has one or two choices here, and how you make that choice and what you do with that choice is going to color your perspective of your attitude. Okay, you got one or two choices. Okay, and take a close look at you. Okay, you can either, hey George, you can either blame somebody. Okay, you can blame everybody else. My mama's fault, my daddy's fault, the system's fault. You know, the government's fault. You know, the dog's fault. The dog ate my homework. You can blame somebody else, and that will color your perspective and also shape the discouragement that's going on in your life. And you can't make an attitude adjustment when you're blaming everybody else. Remember, we talked about this when we talked about what can your attitude do for you. One of the things that you need to realize is take responsibility for yourself. You are where you are because you got you there. Okay, very few people are where they are because of a whole bunch of other people. You get there, but because you got yourself there. Okay, so take responsibility. Don't blame everybody else. Get past that, because it will color everything about you. We live in a society today, especially here in America, we live in a society today where that's one of the biggest problems that's wrong with everything, is everybody wants to blame everybody else. Nobody wants to look and say, you know, I've got to do something about this. I got to do something about me. I can't. Nobody else is going to be thinking about you, looking about you, and because we've come this I-focused thing that everything's about me except responsibility. And you have to take responsibility. So you can blame everybody if you want to, or you can you can solve things. You can take the attitude of, I'm going to solve this, I'm going to fix this, I'm going to do something about it, I'm going to be responsible. You know, most people know the story of Colonel Sanders and the Kentucky Fried Chicken. The man's 65 years old. He'd built him a little business, and the interstate cut him off. And he could have just thrown in his towel and lived it out, but he decided he was not going to blame circumstance. He wasn't going to blame the highway department. He wasn't going to blame the state. He wasn't going to blame all the reasons that things could go wrong. What did he do? He decided, you know what, I'm going to find another way to do this. And he did. And blew the whole Kentucky Fried Chicken thing up into a huge multi-million-dollar industry. Why? Because he decided, I'm going to look at me, and I'm deciding I'm not going to blame anybody. I'm going to take responsibility, and I'm going to do something about it. So, part of overcoming discouragement is taking a close look at yourself. Okay, taking a close look at yourself. Okay, and then the next one is you taking a close look at successful people. You can learn a lot from other people. You can learn a lot by looking at successful people. Study them. Read about them. I know you don't know what that word means. Most people today don't read, but I'm going to tell you something. Learn how to read about successful people. There's a concept that if you'll just wash, rinse, and repeat what successful people do, you'll become successful. Why? Because it wasn't some magic that they got, that they became successful. Now I know there's a small group of people that are successful just because they kind of inherited it. But most people, when you look at their success story, they got there because they decided they were going to get there. They had an attitude. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, George. Most of us sharing stuff, it's not revolutionary. It's usually about you be responsible. You be responsible. Those of you that come on my business scope and I talk about $10,000 ideas, the ideas aren't revolutionary. What's revolutionary is you got to go do it. Because I can't do it for you. Because if you did, you wouldn't make $10,000. I would. Okay? So it's very much about that idea of you taking responsibility for yourself. So go study successful people. Go meet successful people. Okay? So read about them, study them, go meet them. Go hang out where they are. See how life is for them. Listen to their story. And understand that behind every successful person's big glamour thing that everybody sees, hey Liz, glad to have you this morning. Behind everybody's success story is another story. That's the story you want to read. That's the story you want to find out about successful people. There's all a classical example, and if you hadn't read this book, you need to drop everything you're doing, get off this scope, and go get this book called Think and Grow Rich. Okay? Think and Grow Rich, book by Napoleon Hill. Great, awesome, Liz. Great. I'm glad that happened for you, okay? Because you know why, Liz? Because you quit focusing on the problem and you focused on the solution. You started looking for a solution. And that's what we're talking about this morning. When you quit looking at the problem and think the problem's a problem, it's not. Go look for the solution. That's where the answer lies, not in the problem, it's in the solution. Yes, thank you, Liz. I appreciate that. Yeah, we all have 24 hours in a day. One makes $25,000, another makes $250,000. The $250,000 guy's not smarter. Okay, he's not smarter than most people. Look, when you talk to successful people, you'll find out that most of them aren't any different than you. They put their pants on the same way. They put their shirt on the same way. They put their shoes on the same way you do. They're not any smarter. They just make application to what they know. They go find a system and they follow it, okay? And that system takes them to success. So when we talk about attitude, go hang around some successful people. Look, Napoleon Hill went out and studied 500 people. Not two, not three, 500 folks. You know what the big thing he found out about successful people? One trait they all had? Persistence. They didn't give up. They didn't let discouragement overcome them. We have a light bulb today because a guy didn't get discouraged. I'm sure there were moments he woke up and said, okay, I don't know anything we're ever going to do with a light bulb. I have no clue. I mean, we don't even have electricity to people's houses. Why do I need to keep working on a light bulb? But somewhere down inside of that man, the idea was, this can change the world. And I'm going to figure it out if it takes me 10,000 times. See, that's persistence. That's why you have a light bulb. That's why you have electricity in your house. That's why you even have a periscope. It's because people were persistent. Successful people, go see what successful people have about overcoming discouragement. They had them too. They had them too. You don't start a multi-billion-dollar company from a garage and everything works out. Yeah, hang in there. And it's exactly, George. You got to hang in there. A good friend of mine says, look, you just have to stay lucky long enough, okay? Most people give up way too early. They get discouraged and they just quit. They throw the towel in. Find out successful people over and over and over face discouragement and they overcome it. Yeah, exactly. Started in a garage. He did. And who would have ever thought? First of all, nobody believed the guy. Okay? But he hung in there. He hung in there. So here's the last one for today. Take a wide look at possibilities. A wide look at possibilities. You see, if all you ever look at is the discouragement that has crept up on you, if all you ever look at is the problem in the mirror, or the problem that's right here, if that's all you ever look at, guess what? They said Walt Disney didn't have any of them. Some of y'all have been reading some successful people. Yeah, it starts rubbing off, doesn't it? Their contagiousness starts rubbing off. Their concepts start rubbing off. Because it just starts rubbing off on us, and we kind of like, hey, this is not so bad. But see, if all you ever look at is the problem and never look at all the possibilities, then this is all you ever see. And eventually, yes, exactly. Look at you people, man. You've been reading great stuff. Y'all should be teaching this, not me. Y'all throwing ideas out there. Michael Jordan cut from his high school basketball team. What did that do to him? He could have just gone, well, I knew I couldn't play basketball. I always knew I couldn't play basketball. I knew I'd never do anything worth a flip. I knew. When you study the life of Babe Ruth, you find out that the guy struck out more times than he hit home runs. He could have said, well, struck out again. Marie Callender sold pies from the trunk of her car. Yeah. Look, folks, the only barrier in the big barrier of your attitude when it comes to discouragement is you're not looking at the possibilities. You're focused on the discouragement. I feel bad today. I don't feel good today. Well, guess what? Everybody wakes up and doesn't feel good. You got a choice you can make. You can take responsibility for your life and decide, I'm going to do something about this. You might be a one-armed paper hanger, but you can still hang paper because you can decide you're going to do that, okay? You have to decide you have to look at the possibilities. And you have to realize you got to quit looking at this all the time because then everything starts looking like this. Everything starts looking like that, okay? That's what happens. Now, we're going to talk about how do you overcome that tomorrow. We're going to talk about how you move past that tomorrow. So here's the things we've been talking about. We've been talking about the fact that there are some things that you can do to get past discouragement, okay? How you meet discouragement head on. We've talked about one today. One of those is get the right perspective. Get the right perspective. Realize that discouragement oftentimes is like the Trojan horse. It creeps in and it buries itself right here. It buries itself right here in our emotions. And we start feeling discouraged. You hear the word feeling discouraged? Most people don't think discouraged. They feel it first. They feel it. And then it just keeps getting closer. And then they start thinking it because that's all they can see. Everything becomes the hand in the face. Everything becomes a dead end because that's what they get focused on. And we talked about you got to look beyond it. Because if all you ever look at is the problem, that's all you'll ever have is the problem. Because if you always do what you've always done, you're always going to get what you got right now. And so if it's a problem and you keep looking at it and you keep thinking about it, you're going to have a problem. That's just how it is, folks. So you gotta take responsibility, okay, and get the right perspective. Now tomorrow we're going to talk about what George just threw up on the screen, and we're going to talk about see the right people. We're going to talk about see the right people. To get past discouragement, you got to see the right people. Okay, there's some right people you need in your life. There's some people you don't need in your life. Okay, there's some people you need to fire in your life. There's some people you need to cut in your life. Okay, now that doesn't mean you have to lose relationship with them. Hey, Gina, glad to have you here this morning. Great to have the Tag Tribes in the house. Appreciate you being here this morning and in our scope. And those of you that have been following along here, you can go back and watch the replay of this on catch.me, okay? Or you can go to my Facebook page and at Facebook and look for 5MinuteLeaderScopes, and you'll find these there. They'll be loading them today. Boom is exactly right, Gina. Boom, exactly right. So we're glad to have all of you this morning. We've been talking about what in your life has to happen for you to get past some obstacles of attitude. And one of those we talked about today is discouragement. And we talked about the first step in getting past discouragement is that you have to get the right perspective. You have to get the right perspective. Tomorrow we're going to talk about you have to get the right people in your life, okay, to help you get past discouragement. Because hey, some days are bad, folks. I'm going to tell you. People that wake up every day and think it's the greatest day in the world, never had a bad day, something wrong up here, okay? Because everybody has bad days. Things go wrong for everybody, you know. But it's learning how to deal with that and getting the right attitude, and that's what we've been talking about. Yeah, you'll find exactly, George. Go hang around people who have that. It rubs off. It's contagious. It's like a virus. It gets in you, and it's like, okay, we gotta have it. And then we're going to talk about how to develop your vocabulary, how to say the right words. When you're discouraged, what do you do with that? Self-talk becomes important. Self-talk becomes important, and working through that. Yeah, exactly, George. Yeah. You'll find that people who do well in that industry, part of it is because they know how to get past discouragement, because everybody has it. Exactly. Get with fire starters. Exactly. Y'all are teaching tomorrow's lesson. Y'all all show up tomorrow, okay? I'll show back up in the morning at 8:30, and you just put your stuff on the screen, and I'll just watch, okay? I'll just watch. Appreciate y'all all being here and sharing, because that's what makes this a great scope, because all of us are smarter than any one of us. All of us can teach this, okay? You just need a platform. That's the great thing about Periscope. It gives you a platform, all of us a platform, to get together and help each other grow, help each other get past a problem, help each other see a solution, help each other be charged for the day. Because if you just watch this scope and just watch the comments here, folks, you're going to get charged for the day. You're going to get excited about today. You're going to go, yes, I can do this. No problem is going to overcome me today, because, yeah, if you're the smartest person in the room, exactly, Gene, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You're usually in a room of imagination if you think you're the smartest person in the room. Okay. Exactly. So what happens here is you want to get the right words in your life. We're going to talk about that in a couple of days. And then we're going to talk about the right expectations. Yeah. That's because I got energy in the morning, George. I hadn't done this 5 times by the end of the day. You know, and so, folks, that's what you want to do. And then, of course, you have to make the right decisions. Because, hey, folks, I'm going to tell you, you make the wrong decision repeatedly over, you're going to have discouragement. So you've got to learn that part of overcoming discouragement is learning to make the right decisions. It makes life go better. So I'm going to read this last little piece to you. Okay, it's a little poem about you know it's going to be a bad day. Now this sounds like something that came out of Jeff Foxworthy, and he may have, I don't know. You know you're going to have a bad day when you turn on the morning news and it's showing emergency routes out of town. And if you live on the coast, you know what I'm saying. You know you're going to have a bad day when the sun comes up in the west. You know you're going to have a bad day when your boss tells you, don't bother taking off your coat. You're going to have a bad day when you jump out of bed and you miss the floor. You know you're going to have a bad day when the bird singing outside the window is a buzzard. Okay, so those of you who don't know what a buzzard is, that's a vulture. Okay, that's Texas talk for the vulture. Buzzard. You know you're going to have a bad day when you wake up and your dentures are stuck together. You know you're going to have a bad day when your car horn is stuck and you're following a group of Hell's Angels. Might not be a good day. You know you're going to have a bad day when you put both contact lenses in the same eye. You know it's going to be a bad day. You know you're going to have a bad day when you're out for a walk and you suddenly realize there's a trail of toilet paper following you. You know you're going to have a bad day when you pick up your messages and people told you it's none of your business. You know you're going to have a bad day when your tax return check bounces. That could be true than we all want to realize. You know you're going to have a bad day when you step on the scales and it says tilt. You know you're going to have a bad day when you call the suicide prevention hotline and they put you on hold. Everybody has a bad day, okay? It's up to you to decide what you're going to do with it. You can just stare at it and think it's going to go away, or you can make some choices and change your perspective and change your attitude. Hey, thanks for being with us today. My name's Dean Renfro, 5-Minute LeaderScopes, where we help leaders not only grow their business, but we also help them grow their own lives. Because if you're not leading, if you're not growing as a leader, you're backing up. We'll see you tomorrow at 8:30. Have a great day and get a great attitude. It's all up to you. See you later.